Hi there, I'm reporting from the Sharjah Masters tournament in the United Arab Emirates. This is an open tournament that has attracted over 200 players from all over the world. It's a huge event here. It's being hosted by the Sharjah Chess Club, which is the largest dedicated chess club in the world, at least by area. It's an extraordinary building. It's a fantastic venue actually, and this tournament has many grandmasters. It's very strong in depth. Top seed is Radoslav Wojtaszek from Poland, but it goes down a long way. There's a contingent, a very large contingent from India of over 90 players. Of course, India is just a short hop on the plane from the UAE, so a huge Indian contingent, and I'm sure we'll be hearing more about them later in the tournament. Their top guy is Ariban Bhaskaran, who's on great form after his Vaikonze success. So let me show you a couple of little snippets from the first round, and I want to demonstrate the extraordinary power of the Queen. First game, White is French Grandmaster Laurent Fressinet, who's been one of Magnus Carlsen's seconds, so very experienced Grandmaster, and he's playing against Mohammad and Sheikh. And this is the position after 38 moves. You can see that Fressinet has two bishops against a bishop and, hang on, let me count them, 5 pawns. So black has 5 pawns for a piece, but black's king is somewhat exposed. This is the problem. And before black can get a grip on this position, Fressinet strikes with bishop e3 check. So black has to interpose with the bishop. And now this gets exchanged. And now, because the c6 pawn is no longer protected, White's queen can take with check. And now we see a beautiful combination of queen and bishop. Bishop e4. So this means the king is not going to escape. So obviously mate is threatened, and the only sensible way of preventing this is to play queen a7, but that's a very unfortunate position of king and queen, because now White strikes with this move. King c7 is forced, of course, and now another check. Now if the king steps backwards, then queen d8 is mate. I love the way that the bishop controls the light squares and the queen controls the dark squares here. So that's checkmate. So the king had to come up the board. Now once again, beautiful combination of queen and bishop. So queen d6 check. The king has to step up. And now Fressinet played queen b4 check, which forced resignation, because of course if the king steps back, then we can just win the queen like this. Queen takes. However, the artists among us surely would have played queen d8 check. Now of course if the king steps forward, then bishop c2 is mate, and if queen b6 blocking, then b4, the king steps up, and now king b2, beautiful. Of course if queen takes queen, then bishop c2 is mate. Anyway, very nice combination of queen and bishop there. Let me show you one more little snippet that has some kind of similarities. Now this was a game between the United Arab Emirates top player Salem Saleh, who's 2650 Grandmaster, and we've seen him in the past on this channel playing some splendid games. He's a very aggressive player, and he's playing against Vignesh from India. And in this position, Salem with the white pieces has a pawn up. He has an extra pawn. The queen is also very nicely placed, and the rook is active. Now, if the queens are traded, probably objectively it's a draw. But already these pawns are quite far advanced, so the defence is not simple. So white has pretty decent practical chances here. For example, I think h4 is a very interesting move for white. Now, if that's blocked, then e6 will just undermine black's king position. g6 is going to drop, and yeah, this must be winning for white. So what happens if black traits queens? Well, I rather like this move, h5. And that presents a difficult question for black. Clearly you want to trade queens. But then what do you do? Do you leave this pawn here? And then white may be able to advance with g4, maybe later even g5, or bring the king in. Or do you take that pawn, but that rather messes up your pawns? The king advances, or maybe the rook can pick this up, but I think I'd advance the king first. Objectively, probably a draw, but in a practical game, not simple to defend this position at all. So that would be my choice, h4. Salem played king g3. Now it's a very ambitious move, very interesting. He wants to bring his king up the board and then advance his pawn. So he's hoping that the king is going to be secure at the side of the board, and yeah, also a very interesting plan, very ambitious. But it does give black a chance to counter-attack. So the king comes up. Well, on a good day, we could do what Nigel Short did in a very famous game against Jan Timman and bring the king all the way to h6 and then deliver mate with queen g7, but h6 of course stops that. Salem played rook a7, hitting f7, and now queen e1 check, g3. Well, all appears secure for the king at the moment. f7 has to be defended, rook f8. And here Salem played rook e7. He wants to play e6 to destroy black's king position. But unfortunately, this allowed a terrible move for black. Well, terrible in the sense of crushing. Queen e2, and here Salem had to resign. Shocking. Queen h5 mate is threatened. And there's no way that the queen can prevent that, for example. So if g4, then queen f2 is checkmate as well. There is no way to avoid mate. An absolute tragedy for Salem, who was in control of this game, well, for the entire game until these last few moves. In fact, in this position, after rook f8, unfortunately, this threat is so strong that white has to just play e6 straight away and give the pawn back. And of course, this endgame should be drawn, but of course, better than allowing checkmate. But still, a bit of a tragedy for Salem. He's actually from Sharjah, the home crowd favourite. So, well, it's a 9-round tournament. He still has 8 rounds to recover, but yeah, a bit of a shock for him in the first round. So look out for more reports over the next few days. I'll be trying to do a game of the day every day, so do look out for those, and also look out for my interviews with the players after they've played their games during the round. Thanks very much.